As a survivor of a genocide, or a community that survived genocide, I have a lot of solidarity with all equity-seeking communities that are in those same struggles.
In this video, I want to share a deeply personal perspective shaped by history, struggle, and resilience. As a survivor of a genocide, or as someone whose community has endured the unthinkable horrors of systematic extermination, I have always felt a profound solidarity with other equity-seeking communities. The weight of history binds us, and our shared pursuit of justice and recognition shapes our paths forward. For many of us, the fight is not just for survival but also for dignity and the right to tell our stories. This solidarity often places individuals and entire communities at the center of contentious debates about identity, nationalism, and justice. One such figure is Jagmeet Singh, leader of Canada's New Democratic Party, NDP. Singh's political career has been both groundbreaking and controversial. As the first person of Sikh heritage to lead a major political party in Canada, he represents a beacon of progress and inclusivity. Yet, his journey has also been overshadowed by allegations of ties to the Khalistan movement, a campaign advocating for an independent Sikh state, and his critics have seized on these connections to question his loyalties and values. To fully understand the controversy, it is essential to examine the historical context of the Khalistan movement and its profound impact on the Sikh diaspora. The movement emerged from decades of marginalization and perceived injustices faced by Sikhs in India, particularly during the events of 1984. That year, a military operation known as Operation Blue Star was carried out by the Indian government to remove armed separatists who had taken refuge in the Golden Temple, the holiest site in Sikhism. The operation resulted in significant casualties, extensive damage to the temple, and widespread outrage within the Sikh community. Later that year, the assassination of Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards triggered a wave of anti-Sikh violence across India. Mobs, often aided by government officials, targeted Sikhs, killing thousands and destroying their homes and businesses. These pogroms, described by many as a genocide, left deep scars on the Sikh community. For survivors and their descendants, the trauma is not just a memory but a continuing reality that informs their worldview and their activism. Amid this backdrop of pain and anger, the Khalistan movement gained momentum. Advocates envisioned a separate Sikh state carved out of Punjab, India's northern region, as a means of ensuring justice and self-determination. However, the movement became deeply polarizing. While some viewed it as a legitimate response to systemic oppression, others, including the Indian government, saw it as a dangerous separatist agenda. The movement's association with violence, including the 1985 Air India bombing that killed 329 people, further complicated its perception. The bombing, considered one of the worst terrorist attacks in Canadian history, was allegedly carried out by pro-Khalistan extremists. Jagmeet Singh's political rise has been shaped by these historical undercurrents. Over the years, he has been criticized for his participation in events where pro-Khalistan symbols, such as flags and posters of controversial figures like Jarnail Singh Bhindranwale, were displayed. Bhindranwale is a divisive figure, hailed by some as a martyr for Sikh rights and vilified by others as an extremist. Singh's appearances at such events have raised questions about his stance on the Khalistan movement and whether his advocacy for Sikh rights extends into support for separatism. One of the most contentious aspects of Singh's career has been his refusal to explicitly condemn certain figures associated with the Khalistan movement. This includes Talwinder Singh Parmar, the alleged mastermind of the Air India bombing. Despite the devastating impact of the bombing, Singh has avoided directly denouncing Parmar, framing his reluctance as a commitment to due process and fairness. Critics, however, see this as a troubling ambiguity that undermines his credibility and raises doubts about his priorities as a national leader. Singh has consistently defended his actions, emphasizing that his advocacy is rooted in a broader commitment to human rights. He argues that his participation in events highlighting Sikh grievances reflects solidarity with a marginalized community rather than an endorsement of separatist or violent ideologies. For Singh, addressing historical injustices, such as the 1984 pogroms, is a moral imperative that transcends politics. He sees his role as amplifying the voices of those who have suffered, ensuring that their stories are heard and their struggles acknowledged. Despite these explanations, Singh's nuanced stance has not silenced his critics. Many Canadians view his reluctance to unequivocally distance himself from the Khalistan movement as a sign of misplaced priorities or a lack of transparency. This perception has placed him at the center of a broader debate about Canada's role in diaspora politics and its ability to balance free speech with national security. India's government has been unequivocal in its stance on Singh, viewing him as a problematic figure due to his alleged ties to Khalistan. Citing concerns about his perceived support for the movement, India has barred Singh from entering the country. This ban, coupled with India's broader concerns about pro-Khalistan activities in Canada, has strained diplomatic relations between the two nations. For India, Singh represents a threat to its sovereignty, and his presence in Canadian politics is seen as a validation of a separatist agenda. Canada's response to these tensions has been marked by ambiguity. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has avoided taking a clear stance on Singh's associations, opting instead to emphasize Canada's commitment to free speech and peaceful advocacy. This approach, however, has been criticized as indecisive and reflective of a broader failure to address security concerns effectively. Critics argue that Trudeau's reluctance to confront these issues head-on undermines Canada's credibility on the global stage. The controversy surrounding Singh also underscores the complexities of diaspora politics in a multicultural society like Canada. The country is home to one of the largest Sikh populations outside India, a community that is both diverse and deeply connected to its cultural and religious heritage. Within this community, opinions about Khalistan vary widely. While some support the idea of Sikh self-determination, others see the movement as divisive or counterproductive. Singh's prominence as a political leader has amplified these internal debates, making them a focal point of national and international discourse. Opposition parties, particularly the Conservatives, have seized upon this controversy to criticize both Singh and Trudeau. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has framed his party as one willing to tackle tough issues, calling for greater accountability and transparency from Singh. Poilievre has argued that Singh's associations and Trudeau's inaction weaken Canada's international reputation and compromise its commitment to security. For the Conservatives, the controversy represents an opportunity to position themselves as the party of decisive leadership. For Singh, the challenge lies in navigating this controversy without alienating his base or compromising his principles. His emphasis on human rights and equity resonates with many voters, but his critics argue that his refusal to unequivocally distance himself from figures and movements associated with extremism sends a conflicting message. This tension between advocacy and perception underscores the difficulties faced by leaders navigating complex identities and histories. As Canada approaches another election season, the controversy surrounding Singh is likely to become a key issue. For the NDP, this could mean a loss of voter confidence, particularly among those who view the party as unable to distance itself from international controversies. For Trudeau's Liberals, the issue could further erode their reputation for decisive leadership, providing an opportunity for the Conservatives to capitalize on public dissatisfaction. At its heart, this debate is about more than Singh or the Khalistan movement. It is a reflection of Canada's struggle to balance its values of inclusivity and diversity with the demands of security and diplomacy. For Singh, the path forward requires transparency and accountability. For Trudeau, it demands courage and clarity. And for Canadians, it calls for a thoughtful examination of how we approach identity, justice, and history in an interconnected world. This controversy challenges us to reckon with the power of history and the responsibilities of leadership. It is a reminder that justice and solidarity must always triumph over division and doubt. Only by embracing these principles can we hope to build a future that honors our shared humanity.